The 2025 Men's Royal Rumble is shaping up to not only be one of the most stacked Rumbles in years, but also one of the most unpredictable. There are a bunch of frontrunners to win the Rumble, but at the same time, each of these frontrunners could easily lose too. But with that being said, let's break down and predict all of the entrants in this year's Men's Royal Rumble, number 1 to number 30. I'm Brandon, and this is Wrestling Talk. New studio, same name. Sorry. So like I said, this is going to be a prediction video, but there's also going to be a little bit of fantasy booking as well. I'll be predicting all 30 entrants while also fantasy booking some of the little stories that are going to happen along the way. So without further ado, let's get started. Coming in at number 1, Braun Breaker. I actually think by the time the Rumble happens, Braun Breaker will have already lost the IC title to Sheamus at Saturday night's main event. I just think that has to happen. Sheamus needs to win that title and become a Grand Slam champion, and I think going into WrestleMania, Braun Breaker should be off to bigger things. But the other reason I think he should be number 1 is because of his theme music. The Men's Royal Rumble this year is going to be so anticipated that hearing that siren go off at number 1 is really going to hammer home the point that is about to go down. And who comes in at number 2? Sami Zayn. That's right, I actually think we're going to revisit their feud for the IC title this past summer. And I also just think they're the perfect first two to start. Sami Zayn is your babyface, Braun Breaker is your kinda heel. Both will have a great mini match before number 3 enters, Drew McIntyre. So even though he entered at number 3 and not number 1 or 2, Drew is going to be the Iron Man of this year's Rumble. Why? Because he is a man on a mission. He wants to take down everyone who is involved with the bloodline. So Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa, and Roman Reigns. I'm not saying Drew is going to be the one to eliminate all those guys, but I think for story's sake, he needs to be in the Rumble for a long time just so he can have interactions with them. Coming in at number 4, Chad Gable. So by this point, if you haven't realized it already, it's basically Sami Zayn versus 3 of his former foes. Braun Breaker, Drew McIntyre, and Chad Gable. Once that happens, he's gonna get overwhelmed and he's gonna need backup, but it's not gonna come from who you think yet. Because coming in at number 5 is going to be Aleister Black. That's right, I think this is going to happen. He has been off of AEW television for a while, and while he still may be under contract and not able to appear in the Rumble, I think it's more likely that we see Aleister Black return than a Ricky Starks or a Miro. Those two guys I'm fairly confident are still under contract, whereas with Aleister Black, it's a bit up in the air. But either way, I think this return is very possible, and I think it would be huge. And I think Aleister can just get in there and immediately start going after Chad Gable. I know Chad Gable just got done with a more supernatural faction with the Wyatt Six, but I feel like Chad Gable versus Aleister Black is a perfect first feud for him, so I actually think Aleister's gonna eliminate Chad. Chad will be the first elimination of the Rumble. Going on to number 6, Yeet. Jey Uso comes in at number 6. Of course, the crowd's going crazy. He teams up with Sami to go after Braun and Drew, and coming in at number 7 is Xavier Woods. Xavier's a heel now, so he'll be going after the baby faces. And there can even be a point in the match where all of the heels are winning, Braun, Drew, and Xavier. And who comes in to break them up at number 8? I'll give you a hint. Say his name and he appears. Joe Hendry is number 8. This has to happen. If it doesn't, I'm going to be really disappointed. WWE and TNA just signed this huge partnership deal, so come on, it has to happen. Will he last long in the Rumble? Probably not, which is why I have him coming in early as opposed to later. At number 9, we got Finn Balor, and then at number 10, Jimmy Uso. Jimmy can team up with Jay and Sami, and over the course of the match, I actually think all 3 of these guys are going to be eliminated by Drew McIntyre. Then at number 11, we have Andrade, and at number 12, Kofi Kingston. At number 13, we have LA Knight, and at number 14, Karrion Kross. And then who comes in at number 15? Goldberg. That's right, I think Goldberg is going to appear in this year's Men's Royal Rumble. Why? Because there have been reports that Goldberg will be on the final Monday Night Raw before the Rumble, and obviously that appearance is going to have something to do with his retirement match, which I think is going to happen at WrestleMania. And I don't think it's going to be as simple as he just challenges Gunther, Gunther accepts, and then that's that. Which is why I see him entering the Rumble to earn a title shot at WrestleMania. Obviously, he's not going to win, but you know what he will do? Face off against and eliminate Braun Breaker. Why? Because I think that should be Goldberg's WrestleMania match. Both guys do the spear. Goldberg is really good friends with the Steiner brothers. Braun Breaker is obviously related to them. To me, this would be a really cool passing of the torch moment that could probably elevate Braun Breaker more than it could elevate Gunther. I don't think Gunther versus Goldberg is the move. I think Goldberg versus Braun is the more exciting match to me. Obviously, if Braun is holding the IC title still, then it shouldn't happen. So yeah, I think Goldberg comes in at number 15 and he's the one to eliminate Braun Breaker. Or Braun eliminates him, whatever. Coming in at number 16, we have Rey Mysterio. Number 17, we got Carmelo Hayes. And at number 18, we have Braun Strowman, who has been recently feuding with Carmelo Hayes, so obviously he's going to go right after him, as well as a bunch of other superstars, probably eliminating a few. And once Braun is standing tall, who in the world can take him on? Well, that is going to be number 19, Obafemi. Did you think I was going to say Omos? Obafemi is doing spectacular work in NXT. I do think he will be called up to the main roster at some point in 2025. So I think him entering the Rumble and being the one to take down Braun Strowman and eliminate him would just be awesome. Coming in at number 20, we have Dom Mysterio. He's going to go after his dad, obviously. And just when you think he's going to eliminate Rey, who comes in at number 21? Penta. I think Penta is going to enter the Rumble and be the one to eliminate Dom Mysterio, and once that's done, we'll then have an iconic face-off against Rey Mysterio. I think the crowd will love it, and I actually think it's going to set up a match between them, but not for WrestleMania. I think Rey versus Penta is actually going to main event Backlash in Mexico. So that match is a little ways off, but I do think they will at least tease it in the Rumble. Alright, now we're getting to the heavy hitters. Coming in at number 22, Seth Rollins. Number 23, The Miz. And number 24, CM Punk. Punk and Rollins are going to be at each other's throats this entire Rumble. And part of the reason why I'm not so sure that Punk is going to win is because Seth Rollins is so adamant that he is going to eliminate CM Punk. And I actually think that's going to be something that they're constantly teasing throughout the match. Seth almost eliminating Punk a bunch of times. Coming in at number 25, we have Damian Priest. And at 26, we have Solo Sikoa. On a recent episode of SmackDown, Solo was kind of embarrassed and silent and just walked away from a booing crowd. But I think him entering the Rumble is going to be his shot at redeeming himself following the loss he had to Roman Reigns at the Raw on Netflix debut. Coming in at lucky number 27 is obviously John Cena. I've seen a few people online saying that Cena should enter at number 1 this year. Obviously, that's not going to happen. It is much more realistic that he does what CM Punk did last year, which is enter at number 27, get a few safe eliminations against people like The Miz, Xavier Woods, but then other than that, he'll probably just be trying to survive for the whole match. But coming in at number 28, Logan Paul. He's been doing a bunch of vignettes for Raw. Obviously, he's going to be in the Rumble, and I also think he is a perfect person to get eliminated by John Cena. But now we get to the final two, number 29, Jacob Fatu. And this is going to hit Solo Sikoa by surprise. Similar to how Bayley reacted to all of the members of Damage Control showing up in last year's Royal Rumble, I think Solo Sikoa will also have that, hey, I got this mentality, but Jacob Fatu is insisting that he's there to support. And once that happens, I think the two of them will eliminate some more people from the roster, like a Damian Priest or a Penta, and this is all leading up to number 30. We know who it is. Roman Reigns. Obviously, I would honestly be shocked if Roman doesn't enter at number 30. Hearing that theme music at number 30 would be so huge. It would feel like Thanos just arrived. However, it will be short-lived aura because once Roman Reigns enters, he is going to get legit jumped. Everyone still in the match who has had history with Roman in the past 3 to 4 years are going to form a temporary alliance and go after him. We're talking Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, John Cena, Logan Paul, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu. They are all going to jump him. It's going to be kind of hilarious. But obviously they're not going to eliminate him right away. Alright, so those are my predictions for all 30 entrants. I think the final 8 is going to be Roman Reigns, John Cena, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, in Logan Paul. When it comes to Logan Paul, I think he is a perfect candidate to get eliminated by John Cena. I think that match definitely should happen at some point in 2025, probably at like Crown Jewel or something. But I think eliminating Logan Paul will get even more momentum behind Cena to where the crowd really thinks, oh, he can do it. He just eliminated Logan Paul. Beyond that, I think Solo Sikoa will almost eliminate Roman Reigns. That is, until Jacob Fatu eliminates Solo Sikoa. I think 2025 is going to be the year of Jacob Fatu. And going off of this past SmackDown, I think Jacob Fatu looks at Solo Sikoa as weak. And I don't mean to call it, but I did predict this months ago that Solo Sikoa leading into WrestleMania would be kicked out of the new bloodline. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think Jacob is going to eliminate Solo, and I think Roman is then going to capitalize and eliminate Jacob. And that takes us to our final five: Seth, Punk, Drew, Cena, and Roman. And at this point, Drew is clearly dominating the entire match. He has vitriol in his eyes for Punk, Roman, Seth, and even Cena. And I think at this point in the match, all four other guys are actually going to team up to realize, okay, we got to eliminate Drew. He is kicking our ass. So I actually think it might be a situation where all four guys hit Drew with their own finishers. We're talking a GTS, a Stomp, a Superman Punch, and an AA. And after that, I think Drew will be eliminated, taking us to our final four. And to be honest, this is an iconic final four: John Cena, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. And the only person that I'm confident is not going to win the match out of these four is Seth Rollins. It just comes down to one question: will Seth Rollins eliminate Punk before he gets eliminated? So I don't have Seth winning. Our final three are going to be Punk, Cena, and Roman. And now this is where I have no idea what's going to happen. Because let's look at each of these three candidates. CM Punk has never won a Royal Rumble before. The other two guys have. So Punk winning is obviously the most refreshing option. But CM Punk still has a favor he needs to call in from Paul Heyman. And if Punk just wins the Rumble, then there's no reason for him to call in the favor. Not saying that that storyline is just dead forever, but it's probably just put on ice for a while. And then you factor in Seth Rollins, who is so adamant to take down CM Punk. I think those two reasons are reason enough that Punk isn't gonna win. It actually seems more likely that Rollins eliminates Punk from the Rumble, and then Punk tries to win the Elimination Chamber but fails too, and then calls in his Paul Heyman favor to insert himself in one of the two title matches at WrestleMania in the main event. To me, that seems a bit more likely. Now let's look at John Cena. Obviously, it's his last Rumble ever, and everyone wants to see him win it and go after the 17th title at WrestleMania. I think that would be great, but it would also be the safest, most predictable option, especially when you look at it on two fronts: storyline and business. When you look at it from a storyline perspective, John Cena having this 2,000 match losing streak and then coming in, just surviving the Royal Rumble, and then not really having any big match of consequence leading into WrestleMania is so simple, and would basically solidify the fact that Cena is not winning the WrestleMania match. And then the business side is he's already advertised himself for Elimination Chamber, and I don't think he's just going to have a random one-off match at that PLE. If he's going to be at Elimination Chamber, he's going to be in the Elimination Chamber. So because of those two reasons, and the fact that Cena is telegraphing the hell out of this thing, the segment he had on Monday Night Raw where he just kept saying, I'm gonna win the Royal Rumble, I'm gonna do it, it just solidified to me that he's not, which I like, because I like a John Cena who fails and has to never give up and then keep going. So yeah, I just think on all fronts, Cena is not going to win the Rumble. So because of that, I kind of have to take him off the board too. But then that just leaves Roman Reigns. I made a short on this a while back where I predicted Roman was going to win the Rumble, just because WWE can now redo the Roman winning the Rumble moment from 2015. Back then he was a babyface who won the Rumble and was met with boos boos. But given all the great work he's done these past few years, 10 years after that, he can win the Rumble as a babyface and be met with cheers. I think that moment would be great, but then it comes down to the match we're going to see at WrestleMania, and let's be honest, Roman versus Cody round 3 is not something anyone really wants to see. It feels like Roman is either going to face The Rock, if The Rock's available, or someone like a Drew McIntyre or a CM Punk. And none of those matches need Roman winning the Rumble. So this is the predicament I'm in. Roman Reigns, John Cena, and CM Punk all have great reasons to win the Rumble, but also have great reasons to lose it too. And I'm not even factoring in the potential of The Rock entering in at number 31, which a lot of people have been predicting online, or the fact that Randy Orton is probably going to return at this PLE too. I don't think he's going to be in the Rumble match though. I think he's going to interfere in the main event, which is Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens in Ladder War. But even still, if Randy interferes in that match and turns heel on Cody Rhodes, and then vows to win the Elimination Chamber and face Cody at WrestleMania, well then that kind of telegraphs Randy's winning the Chamber, and now does Cena just not win anything? This is what I mean when I say that this is the most unpredictable Royal Rumble in years. If I had to guess though, right now, when I look at these three guys, my gut is telling me it won't be Punk or Cena, because Punk has to call in that favor and Cena's got to go on to win the Elimination Chamber. Am I actually going to say Roman Reigns? Maybe, but that's just kind of a boring choice, isn't it? You know what? No, I'm just going to say CM Punk. I think CM Punk is going to win the Rumble because he's never done it before, and we just don't know how much longer we're going to have of CM Punk in the WWE. So because of that, I think Punk is the most likely to win. All right, that's it. Those are my predictions for all 30 entrants in the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble. Let me know what you think down below, and let me know any entrants that you think I missed. With all that, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.